everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. I do upload on Mondays and Thursdays. So when you subscribe, please click subscribe. Anytime during this videos, you can click subscribe. You will be notified when I have uploaded new content for your review. And of course, my pleasure. And it is my pleasure. A couple of questions came up and I am wanting to address them during this particular video. Number one is, folks have said they were unable to leave a comment. Keep in mind that it's a YouTube, I think a setting issue in which you need to have your email active in order to either subscribe or to comment, and that'll take care of that. So it's easy as 1, 2, 3. I am following up this video with a couple of comments that came from my last one about the flu season, and COVID is still here. We're just not in a pandemic mode. And to have a courageous conversation with coworkers if you feel that they are ill in a contagious way. So it's not the first time that I've used the word courageous conversation. I use it often, actually. Well, enough as needed. I use it enough as needed without overuse, like anything else in life. But not the first time that someone said, hey, what do you mean by way of courageous conversation? So that's what this particular video is going to be about, is to explain what I mean in reference to courageous conversation. So first, let me define what it is typically. Typically, courageous conversation is one of 3 different categories. One, it follows the format of psychology and counseling in which the 4 agreements are a part of the courageous conversation. So let's say, for example, I'm with my spouse and we're in therapy, couples therapy for our relationship. Well, I can't use myself because me and my husband, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right, but you never know. So let's just say a person. The reason I'm correcting that is I don't want to bring that energy to myself, and I typically have very good, healthy relationships. I don't want to use myself in that. So Earth, universe, thank you. Let's say a couple is having therapy and they're trying to rescue their relationship. One of the tools or strategies that therapists or psychologists or marriage counselors use is the 4 agreements and courageous conversations, in which I'm able to have a loving, respectful chat directly with you about my concerns and issues, which may be different than your concerns and issues. And you are to hear me out without interruption. And I'm to hear you out when it is your turn to speak without interruption. And so that we can come together and talk about these things courageously, no matter how deep they are. That's one major type of courageous conversation. Another major type is in the leadership, typically at work in general, but in the leadership at work, at the either senior, supervisorial, executive suite, in which, trust and believe, they don't always agree with each other. I know that. In which 2 main, I shouldn't say main, that's not a good word, 2 critical positions are not in alignment with an end goal to something. And they may go, what I call, go to bat. This one is being stubborn, this one's not yielding, and all of that. It's a way for the 2 to come together and what I call almost like a political playing field. The Democrats and Republicans won't agree, but we need to set this law, what the parameters are for the law. Some pull, some push, some reasoning, some talking, some hold up, some bureaucracy, some red tape. And before you know it, there is something as an end result that is acceptable to both sides. So that's what another form of courageous conversation. It could be heated, yeah. Even in the earlier example in which I spoke about a couple having marital count, it can be heated. There could be tears. People can cry. People can be very upset in courageous conversations in that way. The third one is probably the most important and still today the most difficult, the most needed, with the slowest progress, I'd say. And that is courageous conversations surrounding race relations, race inequities, racial discriminations, racial biases. And unfortunately, as it pertains to what J and B, just not Black. Many times, not always, many times, even the discriminatory facets of racism are harsher on Black people. So there becomes a courageous conversation. Black Lives Matter is a good example of how a courageous conversation around certain issues had to occur regarding the lost lives. It started off with young Black men, but Blacks in general, and their approach to that, the intention of being very boisterous and refusing to be denied to be heard, which there was their initial format, a forcefulness to say, you've not heard me before, you need to hear me. That's a way of courageous conversation. So those are just three key examples. Those are the most prevalent examples of courageous conversations. And they're none of the ones I'm referring to when I say it. So I just wanted to give you the backdrop of what a courageous conversation is. And you can Google search it yourself. So that's what it is. When I refer to it in the most, I'd say the most human to human connection. I know you enough. I feel comfortable with you enough. I need to speak on this to you. This is important for me that you know. This is what I mean. When I say courageous conversation, the end goal is always the same, and that is to reconcile something before it becomes displaced. Fix it before it gets hurt. Say something before it gets damaged. Don't let the water come in under the well. That kind of, it's a preventive way is what I mean. And even then, people find it difficult to say. This is what I said in the last upload. Just tell your coworker, hey, you not feeling good today? People find it very difficult, and they say it's confrontational. No, that's not confrontational. Confrontational is, and the difference to me, confrontational and a courageous conversation is the intent therein. Confrontational is, oh, I can't wait to talk to that. But you already are worked up. I'm going to let him have it. I'm going to let her have it. And she needs to know that you're already, that is always a wrong approach. Confrontational seeks an argument. It seeks a warrior mentality that will inevitably destroy instead of build. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm for reconciliation. I'm for, if you know this, it's better for you and I. When you come confrontational, it's like, if you know this and you don't correct this, I'm out. All of that never fixes anything. So when I say courageous conversation, it is the intent to prevent something from happening or reconcile something before it happens to morph into something else. So let me give you an example. In the workplace, two teams are disagreeing on how to approach a new project. And there's some give and some take. And one person is very non-participative, gonna do it their way. And they have I would say the project lead. They're the lead on it. And you can't seem to bypass them, although everyone else agrees about how to approach it. Few people will go directly to this project lead because they see their future through him. Well, first of all, correct your vision. Your future is never through anyone. Your future is through your own performance. And if it isn't, then you make your performance stand out in such a way that you insist it is. So that's just that. But that's not what this is. The project lead, if you have to bypass an ego, most people won't, because they know the next project is going to be theirs, and the next project is going to be theirs, and the next project is there, and they want their work secured. They want to work with this person. So what they do is they tolerate something, and it just stores in and say, oh, that's just Jim. Oh, that's just Bob. Oh, that's just Susie. And they don't make progress. What they do is they incubate it. And that doesn't work either, because when you're infusing inside. Now people say, oh, well, it's just a job. It's just a job. No, make work work. So in that example, this is how I would approach a courageous conversation. I'd say, hey, Joseph or Jim or whomever, have we talked about some of these different options. And we really want you to at least try them. Tell me why you're not interested. Because when you approach a person telling them why they should be interested, it becomes your idea. So you need to ask them why they're not interested, so it can stay in their camp. Because what you're really trying to bypass is their ego. Hey. But this is a courageous conversation just to have with that person. And your end goal is to make some form of progress that's acceptable to you and to that person, and that would make things better for your entire team along the way, or will give your great idea some legs to stand up for the next project. Because the next project could be different enough where this person that's leading this one can see your contribution, can see your ideas, can recall that you even said anything. No one else even said anything. So don't let positional power of the person, or who they are, what I call the whoism of the person, stop you from saying something that would enhance the project and perhaps your career. So that's what I mean by courageous conversation. Doesn't have to be difficult, doesn't have to be confrontational, and it certainly shouldn't have an end goal of one-upism. Just say, hey, let's talk about this. Lunchtime, let's talk about it at lunch. And most people don't want to talk about work at lunch, but you can. If that's a way that the person can be heard, then let them. Don't expect them to buy in 100%, because what you're trying to do is build the faith, build the trust, build the confidence of that person in you. Okay? And that's what I mean in courageous conversation. If you've enjoyed any part of this video and you think that it would be helpful to someone else, please forward it to them. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. And if you've gotten this far, please subscribe. I love you. Bye.